This is Joe Biden. Everyone knows that old Joe is a human gaffe machine, and it seems like every time he makes a public appearance, there's some sort of blunder or awkward moment.
He doesn't pay his fair share, don't worry about that. He doesn't pay his fair share.
Former years of Donald Trump will be former years of the same, only worse.
Protesting is not burning or looting or violating and can't be tolerated.
Folks, it's my coach used to say it's go-to time. It's go time now.
Look, Donald Trump doesn't understand health care.
What is the song I would have to play to get you hyped up?
Yeah.
Well, there's two of them. One, Aretha Franklin's Respect. The country of anything we need is some respect. R-E-S-P-C-T. It's what's lacking with this president. The second one is Hey Ya by Outkast.
Sure it is, Joe.
Guess what? 500 million people have watched what I've done out of my basement.
Ew. So in this video, we're going to be revisiting the moments that defined Joe Biden's presidential campaign by counting down the top 50 Biden bloopers, blunders, and gaffes of the 2020 election cycle. Starting off at number 50 is when Joe Biden was making a campaign stop in Keene, New Hampshire.
I'm back. I've been here a number of times. Last time was, I think, all the way back in 2014. But I've been here before that. I love this place. Look, what's not to like about Vermont in terms of the beauty of it? And what a neat town.
New Hampshire, Vermont, same difference. Number 49 on the list is that time when Joe Biden revealed that he's a time traveler and has been to the future.
But in the 2020 census, which is now 2 censuses ago, soon to be.
Speaking of the future, here's number 48.
Stop the Cold War future that we're talking about. We're talking about a peaceful Cold War. What are we talking about?
Man, I wish I knew, Joe. Not even your old boss knows. This is the face of a man wishing he chose anyone else but Joe Biden as his vice president. Number 47 on the list has Joe referring to the future first and second ladies.
My wife Jill, as you know, and Doug Emhoff, Kamala's wife are there. Kamala will be back later this week, I think on Friday.
Well, at least he said Kamala's name right. I mean, that's the most important thing. In at number 46 is that time when Joe was very confused by the weather.
If that's raining outside, come on in, guys. I don't want anybody out there. Are you guys in the rain? Or is that not rain? I thought that was rain. It is?
Yes, it appears to be raining.
Number 45 occurred during the first Democratic presidential debate when NBC's Chuck Todd asked each candidate the following. If they became president and could only pass one piece of signature legislation during their first term, what would it be?
You may only get one shot, and your first issue that you're going to push, you get one shot.
So what's the one thing that Biden would do? New gun laws, climate policy, packing the court, Biden care?
The first thing I would do is make sure that we defeat Donald Trump.
Okay.
Period.
But if you defeat Trump to win the election, then you, never mind. Number 44 is just a typical Joe Biden moment.
Welcome to Kingswood Community Center. Actually, that's the one down I used to work. It's a joke. You didn't know where we were. Anyway.
Right, a joke. Thanks, Joke Biden. Number 43 happened during an interview with Fox News' Chris Wallace.
I can hardly wait to debate him on stage. I want people to see me standing next to him and him standing next to me. We'll see who's sleepy.
Mr. Vice President, thank you. Thanks for your time. Please come back in less than 13 years, sir.
All right, Chuck. Thank you very much.
All right. It's Chris, but anyway.
Chris. I just did Chris. No, I just did Chuck. I tell you what, man, these are back-to-back. Anyway.
Lucky for us, Joe Biden doesn't have to worry about back-to-back meetings of world leaders anymore. Number 42 is that time that Joe Biden coined the name of a new ethnic group.
If you notice, I have more people supporting me in the black community that have announced for me because they know me. They know who I am.
They only know who you are because of Obama and maybe the 1994 crime bill.
3 former chairs of the Black Caucus, the only African-American woman that ever been elected to the United States Senate, a whole range of people.
No,
my point is
that's not true. The other one is here.
Except that when you rewatch the clip, he said the only Black African American woman, not the first.
The only Black African American woman that ever been elected to the United States Senate.
But at least he recovered gracefully and owned up to his mistake, right?
I said the first. I said the first African American elected.
For number 41 on the list, 2019 Joe Biden seemed to be channeling 1989 Joe Biden.
We should make sure that we have no one going to jail for a drug offense. They go directly mandatory mandatory treatment, not prison.
That sounds familiar.
We have to hold every drug user accountable. Because if there were no drug users, there would be no appetite for drugs and there'd be no market for them.
On the other hand, number 40 shows the more lenient side of Joe Biden.
The fact of the matter is that what's happened is that we're in a situation now where there are so many people who are in jail and shouldn't be in jail. The whole means by which this should change is the whole model has to change. We should be talking about rehabilitation. Nobody should be in jail for a nonviolent crime.
Says the man who wrote the anti-drug bill that put tens of thousands of drug offenders in prison. But let's not talk about that. At number 39, Joe Biden had what most people would call a senior moment.
This is the most consequential election in a long time. And the character of the country, in my view, is literally on the ballot. What kind of country we're going to be. 4 more years of George, going to find ourselves in a position where if Trump gets elected, we're going to be in a different world.
So clearly, he started to say George Bush instead of Donald Trump because Biden served in the Senate for 12 years under a George Bush administration and is probably said to name George Bush thousands and thousands of times. It's like muscle memory. And it wouldn't be the first time a member of Congress confused the name Trump with Bush.
First, he tries to charm you. President Bush tries to charm you. Yes, we've seen nothing that we can work but I can work with President Bush on, and I'm disappointed because I thought either we win or whoever wins understands the priorities of the American people, and they are not with President Bush. Excuse me. I'm so sorry, Trump. President Bush.
At number 38, Joe Biden needs your help.
Hello, everyone. I'm coming directly to you for ask a quick favor.
The utter incompetence of Joe Biden's staff is stunning. Not only did they not catch that Biden flubbed the line, but then they decided to make it into an ad and push it out to millions of voters.
I'm coming directly to you for ask a quick favor.
Number 37 is Joe Biden wanting children to hear more words or something.
We bring social workers into homes of parents to help them deal with how to raise their children. It's not that they don't want to help, they don't know quite what to do. Play the radio, make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night, the phone, make sure the kids hear words. A kid coming from a very poor school, or a very poor background, will hear 4 million words fewer spoken by the time they get there.
So ultimately, the answer is let the government into your home to help raise your kids. Got it. Coming in at 36, Joe Biden brags about one of his biggest accomplishments.
I'm also the only guy that got assault weapons banned, and the number of clips in a gun banned.
Did you hear that? Thanks to Joe Biden, you can't insert more than 1 magazine at a time into a pistol or rifle. Yeah, that'll stop criminals from using guns. In at number 35, Joe Biden is having teleprompter issues.
Lonnie knows I believe this every fiber of my being. We're posed. What I propose is it can be done.
Seconds later, Biden starts reading about policy plans and just gives up.
Critical laws like the PRO Act to strengthen collective bargaining. On politics like prevailing and look, I guess I'm taking too much time, but you know.
A man clearly passed his sell-by date, talking about taking up too much time. How ironic. Number 34 is Joe Biden going well beyond the worst case scenario.
And perhaps, most cruelly of all, if Donald Trump has his way, the complications from COVID-19, which are well beyond what they should be. It's estimated that 200 million people have died, probably by the time I finish this talk.
Well, that's just ridiculous. Biden blooper number 33 occurred during the 5th Democratic presidential debate.
No man has a right to raise a hand to a woman in anger other than in self-defense, and that's rarely ever occurs.
Sure.
And so we have to just change the culture, period, and keep punching at it and punching at it and punching at it. It will be a big, no, I really mean it. It's a gigantic issue, and we have to make it clear.
So to fight violence against women, we need to physically beat the crap out of it. Sorry. I just hate violence so much. Okay, enough of that. Coming in at number 32, Joe Biden has some dubious ideas when it comes to law enforcement.
And the idea that instead of standing there and teaching a cop who's an unarmed person to coming at him with a knife or something to shoot him in the leg instead of in the heart is a very different thing.
An unarmed person with a knife. Not sure how that works. To be honest, though, I'm surprised that Biden didn't say that you should just shoot the knife out of the guy's hand.
And talking to an awful lot of the police, like the former police commissioner Ramsey, who you know, we had, there's a lot that can be done. A lot that can be done.
There are things that can be done regarding police reform, but I can guarantee you that no one from any police department is telling Biden that you should train officers to aim at their legs. And if they are, that person should be immediately fired and banned from law enforcement. At number 31, Joe Biden is very worried about Trump serving more than one term.
4 more years of Donald Trump will go down as an aberration. Hard to overcome the damage he's done, but we can overcome it. 8 more years of Donald Trump will change America in a fundamental way.
I gotta say, 8 more years of Donald Trump would be awesome. Guys, we've reached the top 30 portion of our countdown, and Joe Biden wants to introduce you to some very special people in his life.
By the way, this is my little sister, Valerie, and I'm Jill's husband. Oh, no, you switched on me. This is my wife, this is my sister. They switched on me.
No, they didn't switch on you. Number 29 in the countdown is Joe Biden at a CNN climate change town hall, being Joe Biden.
I would see to it immediately moving toward, we are in fact in a position now that if in fact we dealt with mitigation across the board, just what we did in the last administration and before, leading to a standard that we provide efficiency for appliances.
Oh my God.
That saves billions of gallons of gasoline. I mean, billions of $2.3 billion worth of, $500 billion in savings and 2-something billion metric tons of CO2 going in the air.
The thing I like about Joe Biden is the way he spells out policy. It's just so clear and coherent. Number 28 on our list marks the return of Sleepy Joe.
I'm ready on day one after more than 3 years in office. Why isn't Donald Trump ready? Mr. President, wake up.
Oh man, someone needs a nap. Number 27 on the list shows us a man that believes in masks and science.
To make sure everyone's included on the deal.
The entire point of wearing a mask is, never mind. Like he doesn't even understand how masks work, but don't worry, this is the man who's promising to shut down the virus. Blooper number 26 shows that the Democrats will applaud anything.
You want to nominate a Democrat, a lifelong Democrat, a proud Democrat, an Biden-Obama Democrat, join us.
Democrats. Next, at number 25, here's Joe Biden being a little too ambitious.
You get a tax break for a racehorse. Why in God's name couldn't we provide an $8,000 tax credit for everybody who has child care costs? It would put 720 million women back in the workforce.
So the only thing holding back 720 million women from the workforce is an $8,000 tax credit for childcare. Well, that and the fact that the entire US population is only 330 million, but whatever. At number 24, Joe Biden has a question.
Do you really feel safer under Donald Trump?
Yeah, pretty much.
COVID has taken this year, just since the outbreak, it's taken more than 100 years. Look, here's the lives, when you think about it.
Yeah, like I said, I feel safer under President Trump. Number 23 on the countdown is the fastest flip-flop in American political history.
Some kind of a federal mandate on masks?
You can't make a federal mandate, but I would insist that, in fact, there would be masks. I'd lay out a plan, a detailed plan, which I have laid out in detail.
Wouldn't you use your federal leverage to mandate that, though?
Yes.
And would you?
Yes, I would, from an executive standpoint. Yes, I would.
So you would, in effect, mandate the wearing of masks?
I would do everything on my possible to make it required that people had to wear masks in public.
Within a 30-second period, President Biden says that you can't have a federal mandate on masks, but then says, yes, he would require that people wear masks in public, even though he doesn't have that authority. Later that day, Joe Biden put out this tweet saying, "Wear a mask," with a picture of Joe Biden wearing a hat that looks like it got covered in dog hair after it fell under the couch. Maybe his team thinks the dog hair makes him more relatable or something, I don't know. At number 22 on the list is the return of sleepy Joe Biden.
You know, the rapidly rising I don't know.
Oh my God, Democrats, just let the guy sleep. Coming in at number 21 is signature Joe Biden.
I'm prepared to say that I have a record of over 40 years and that I'm going to beat Joe Biden.
Just remember that Joe Biden's biggest enemy is Joe Biden. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 20 more to go, and the next on our countdown was quite the Trump ad.
Because we cannot get reelect, we cannot win this reelection. We can only reelect Donald Trump.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
Number 19 on the countdown involves the question of whether Joe Biden would support packing the Supreme Court, i.e. expanding the number of justices from 9 to 13 or even 15.
Sir, I've got to ask you about packing the courts, and I know that you said yesterday you aren't going to answer the question until after the election. But this is the number one thing that I've been asked about from viewers in the past couple of days.
Well, you've been asked by the viewers who are probably Republicans who don't want me continuing to talk about what they're doing to the court right now.
This is a recurring theme. If someone disagrees or challenges the former VP, he disparages them.
Well, you've been asked by the viewers who are probably Republicans.
Except according to a New York Times Siena College poll, 58% of Americans oppose adding justices to the Supreme Court. So, no, Joe, they can't be all Republicans.
Well, sir, don't the voters deserve to know where you stand?
No, they don't. I'm not going to play his game.
If anyone is playing a game with the voters, it's Joe Biden. Number 18 is Joe Biden in Miami, Florida, attempting to pander to Latino voters.
I just have one thing to say. Hang on here.
All right.
Oh my God, that is not how you win Florida, Joe.
Dance a little bit, Joe. Come on.
Speaking of pandering to the Latino community, here's number 17.
What you all know, but most people don't know, unlike the African American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community with incredibly different attitudes about different things.
So the Latino community is incredibly diverse politically, but the African American community is a political monolith. This guy's freaking unreal. At number 16, Joe Biden makes it clear which office he's running for.
And I have a simple proposition here. I'm here to ask you for your help. Where I come from, you don't get far unless you ask. My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. Look me over. If you like what you see, help out. If not, vote for the other guy. Give me a look, though, okay?
Yeah, hard pass.
You know, we have to come together. That's why I'm running. I'm running as a proud Democrat for the Senate.
I changed my mind. I really hope you win that Senate seat, Joe. At number 15 on the countdown, Joe Biden is giving us choices.
We choose unity over division. We choose science over fiction. We choose truth over facts.
And we choose anyone else over Joe Biden. Number 14 on the countdown happened during a speech to members of the Asian and Latino Coalition in Iowa in an attempt to win their endorsement.
We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
It was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up.
Lucky number 13 is a prime example of Joe Biden's foreign affairs experience. Well, lack thereof.
China is going to eat our lunch? Come on, man. They can't even figure out how to deal with the fact that they have this great division between the China Sea and the mountains in the east. I mean, in the west. I mean, you know, they're not bad folks, but guess what? They're not competition for us.
Say what you want about President Trump, but unlike Global Joe, Trump has never underestimated China. It's proof positive that Joe Biden is a foreign policy failure.
They're not bad folks.
At number 12, Joe Biden revealed a shocking statistic.
150 million people have been killed since 2007 when Bernie voted to exempt the gun manufacturers from liability. More than all the wars, including Vietnam, from that point on.
I actually said the other night, I was watching him when he said about half the population wiped out with guns. I said, that's a horrible thing. That's the end of his evening. That's the end of his political career. And then after the debate, they're reviewing him. They said, Joe Biden had a great night last night.
Number 11 on the countdown is a certified classic.
Pick up your phones. Pick up your phone now.
In the middle of a rally? I mean, okay.
Send a text to the word United.
Text to United. It's not going through, Joe.
To the number 30330. Okay? That's United. 30330 or 303330. Or BOO. Wait. You got it. It's on the back there.
Now, that occurred in May 2019, and nearly 2.5 months later, Joe was still struggling with the concept of texting.
If you agree with me, go to Joe 30330 and help me in this fight.
We've reached the top 10 portion of our countdown, and coming in at number 10 is Joe Biden possibly saying the quiet part out loud.
We're in a situation where we have put together, and you guys did it for our administration, the President Obama's administration before this. We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
Don't worry, guys. This is just one of those unfortunate times when Biden was allowed to go off teleprompter and said the wrong thing. They don't have a voter fraud organization, right? Right? I just don't know anymore. Number 9 on our list happened on October 24th when Biden had a rally in Bristol, Pennsylvania, and a bunch of Trump supporters showed up to protest Joe Biden.
And by the way, we don't do things like those chumps out there with a microphone are doing, the Trump guys.
I think you mean the peaceful protest guys. Again, this is typical Joe Biden. When it comes to responding to people who disagree with him, Biden always reverts to name-calling. Here's another example of Trump supporters blowing air horns trying to distract Biden.
Dr. Fauci called for a mask mandate last week. This isn't a political statement like those ugly folks over there beeping the horns.
I'm surprised he didn't call him a basket of deplorables.
Well, I was here in Philly earlier today. There are 80 Trump pickup trucks with flags riding around my block, beeping their horns for a couple hours. We've never had anything like this.
Remember, folks, Joe Biden is in favor of peaceful protests unless they're protesting Joe Biden. Coming in at number 8 is this infamous moment when a voter in New Hampshire questioned Joe Biden's ability to win the general election.
How do you explain the performance in Iowa, and why should the voters believe that you can win the national election?
It's a good question. Number 1, Iowa's a Democratic caucus. You ever been to a caucus? No, you haven't. You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
So the former vice president, as a joke, called a woman a liar and dog-faced. Not to mention that he called her a pony soldier. I don't know if that's supposed to be an insult or a compliment. Then there's number 7, where Biden had an interaction with CBS's Ed O'Keefe that the network called a peculiar exchange.
Yesterday, you said you accepted Bernie's apology, and now you're attacking him. Why are you doing that?
Go.
Why wasn't his apology enough, Mr. Vice President? Why attack Sanders?
Why? You're getting nervous, man. Just calm down. It's okay.
No, it's not okay. If Trump ever did that to a reporter, they would call it an unhinged attack. But since it's Joe Biden, let's call it a peculiar exchange.
Why?
For this next one, I need to set it up. In June 2020, Joe Biden spoke about how he was bullied in school for his stutter and claims that during confrontation with bullies, he never insulted them.
In my household, you could never, ever say, you get in a fight with somebody, you could never say anything about them. It was true. You couldn't say if they were 300 pounds, you couldn't say you're fat. You couldn't say you're skinny. You shouldn't say you're short.
However, back in December 2019, Biden had a testy interaction with a voter during his No Malarkey tour.
And you want to check my shape on, let's do push-ups together here, man. Let's run. Let's do whatever you want to do. Let's take an IQ.
So while not a straight-up insult, Biden is clearly taking a jab at the man for being out of shape. But then the exchange got even testier.
Look, fat, look, here's the deal. Here's the deal.
If they were 300 pounds, you couldn't say you're fat.
Look, fat, look, here's the deal.
So it turns out that Joe Biden's moral code is pretty flexible. Next, if you thought that Trump tweeting nonsense words like Kofefi was bad, then you need to take a look at number 5.
I'll do what he's unable to do. I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international effort to pressure, isolate, and punish China.
What?
True international effort to pressure.
Typical politician. He had 47 years in Washington, and now he's gonna get true lemon pressure done? Yeah, sure. And the gibberish talk didn't stop there.
Donald Trump thinks healthcare is a privilege. Barack and I think it's a right for people to have bad healthcare.
Was that Klingon? I think that was Klingon.
Bad healthcare.
Number 4 on the list is a thing.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. Sounds corny. Not a joke. Think about it. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
Biden is exactly what everyone wants in a candidate. Someone that fails to read parts of the Declaration of Independence off a teleprompter and then claims that one of the most important documents in our history sounds corny.
Sounds corny. Not a joke. Think about it.
Next, back in June 2020, a reporter asked Joe Biden the following question.
Have you been tested for some degree of cognitive decline?
I've been tested and I'm constantly tested. Look.
And that's a pretty unclear answer, right? So our number 3 moment is when CBS's Errol Barnett asked Joe Biden for some clarification.
Please clarify specifically, have you taken a cognitive test?
No, I haven't taken a test. Why the hell would I take a test? Why? Come on, man. That's like saying before you got in this program, if you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
What do you say?
Again, as I pointed out earlier, if you challenge Joe Biden, he attacks and belittles you. Remember, folks, a vote for Joe Biden is a return to normalcy. And as it happens, that moment brings us to the number 2 blooper.
Anyway, I am very willing to let the American public judge my physical and mental my physical as well as my mental fitness, and to make a judgment about who I am.
We made that judgment a long time ago. And finally, the number 1 Joe Biden blooper of the 2020 election cycle.
Listen, you got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
This was the defining moment of Biden's 2020 campaign. And I'm sure that you remember earlier in the countdown when Joe Biden said that the African American community is a political monolith. Well, here he's saying that no black person in their right mind would ever vote for Donald Trump. And if they did, their blackness needs to be questioned. And when Joe Biden was called out on it, he totally apologized. Yeah, right.
I shouldn't have been such a wise guy. I shouldn't have been so cavalier in responding to what I thought was anyway.
But yeah, Joe, you shouldn't have been such a wise guy and so cavalier, but also, you shouldn't have been so racist. And that's it. We made it to the end of the countdown and the end of the election cycle. And before you start complaining about it, the Corn Pop thing happened in 2017, so it doesn't count.
And Corn Pop was a bad dude.
Anyway, let me know in the comments which one was your favorite on the list, and please slam that like button, be sure that you're still subscribed to the channel, and thanks so much for taking this journey with me. It's been a hell of a ride, huh?